whiwhia nei teimo le Taeao, ua whatasmai le whiunga le Palemia, le Malo New Zealand, the Right Honourable Christopher Luxon, i le tarapaklame i le nei fōi Taeao fōu, whaafte tele lava. Thank you for your time, the Right Honourable Christopher Luxon. How are you this morning, sir?
Well, Talofa, good morning. It's great to be with you, and thank you for spending some time with me. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for taking your time. I know you're very busy, but having you this morning, thank you so much, Whaafete lava. Okay, let's start with your trip to Samoa, CHOGM 2024. Who else will be with you as a part of New Zealand delegations for CHOGM 2024?
Well, I go up today, and I think our Deputy Prime Minister and our Foreign Minister, Winston Peters, goes up, I think, tomorrow. We both are there Friday and Saturday. Obviously, I'm there 3 days, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I'm really looking forward to it. Samoa will do an outstanding job. There's been a lot of work that's gone into hosting such a big global event like CHOGM. It's incredible. There's 56 countries that are represented. I think there'll be something like 22 leaders, world leaders that are coming in. The British Prime Minister, obviously King Charles, the Australian Prime Minister, myself, and others as well. So it's a fantastic event. Commonwealth affiliated countries, and it's a chance to talk about some of the global issues. But I think as a result, there'll be a very good focus on the Pacific because of Samoa's hosting and the way that Prime Minister Fiame will chair the meeting and lead the discussions.
Speaking of King Charles, are you looking forward to meeting King Charles and Queen Camilla?
Yeah, I haven't actually met him before, so it'll be a first time for me. I've been obviously Prime Minister of New Zealand for 11 months, and I haven't had a chance or an opportunity. Obviously, there was an intention for him to come to New Zealand at some point, but just with him managing his health concerns, he was able to do Australia and Samoa in between his treatments. So. Really looking forward to meeting with him, and also looking forward to discussing the things that are important to him and what he thinks are important to the Commonwealth as well. So it's going to be a very important meeting because we also elect a Commonwealth Secretary General as well for CHOGM.
Okay. Christopher Luxon, not sure what issues will be on the top of the agenda, but looks like influence of China and America in the Pacific just recently. Do you think that would be one of the topics? I mean, the security around the Pacific that would be on the agenda.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting. It's a good question because when we had the Pacific Island Forum just recently in Tonga, obviously we understand there is more geopolitical tension in the Pacific. And you will have observed, after 44 years, China fired a missile test across the Pacific. Yeah. Obviously, we're worried about that because, that's a missile that could have had a nuclear warhead. And, the Pacific's an area where we do not want to have, nuclear testing or any nuclear, elevation of any nuclearization of the Pacific. So, that was incredibly worrying. And I think the many Pacific leaders, when they spoke to me, were very concerned about that because they hadn't had advance notice that it was actually happening. We informed as many as we could once we knew a few hours beforehand. But that's obviously a topic of discussion in the Pacific. I think it'll be interesting to see with this group, to be honest, because you've got many African countries that are coming in, obviously through as a membership of CHOGM as well. So I suspect there'll be quite a lot of conversation about some of the global issues.
Right. You'll be in Samoa. Let's talk about the HMS NCS Manawai. What's the latest you have from the report? Because I know the Defense Department was supposed to conduct an internal inquiry. Do you have any latest report from them?
Well, look, I mean, the first thing I want to say is to everybody is, look, thank you so much because the Samoan authorities and people were incredible because it was a very dangerous situation. The ship hit the reef at high seas and at nighttime. We had 75 personnel on board, and actually the fact that they all got off without anybody losing their life was an absolute miracle because the seas were very, very large, and they can be very big there. And the fact they all got off safely, and a lot of that was support from the people on the ground in the villages, and who came out and helped out people evacuate that ship and abandon that ship. So your first job was to make sure that people were safe, and again, big thank you for that. The second part now is to make sure that we are minimizing any environmental impact with the ship. And there's a lot of work going on around that, and that's what we want to be 100% focused on. So the first thing is that there were 3 containers. They're not like sea containers, smaller containers that were on the reef. I think the third one gets removed this morning. The ship is sitting, I think, in 50 meters of water below the ocean. there was some minor venting of fuel that was coming out of what are called venting pipes. We seem to have been able to mitigate that in recent days, which has been very good. We've removed the containers, and obviously we are constantly assessing and monitoring. And what's been good is we're seeing no pollution on the shoreline or no loss of marine life at all. And the main thing is that those big fuel tanks, which contain large quantities of diesel, are actually intact and are safe at this point in time. So now our focus moves to how do we get the fuel out of the ship, so that then that's the thing that is the major risk at the moment on environmental impact, and that's work that happens with the New Zealand Navy, with the Samoan authorities, and also with the insurers and salvors that work their way through it. And then you're right. Then the third step is we've got a court of inquiry, which is a very formal court, which has kicked off already to ascertain what went wrong and what happened here. But my immediate focus is to ensure that everybody is very focused on, as I said to Prime Minister Fiame, and Acting Prime Minister as well, we're very sorry for what's been a very unfortunate accident. The ship was there trying to support CHOGM by actually, surveying that reef, which hadn't been surveyed for a while, to make sure any other boats coming in for CHOGM were safe.
Right.
And unfortunately, this is what happened.
Honourable Prime Minister, the report I was reading yesterday from Samoa, the villagers are now demanding compensation from New Zealand. Well, if I put myself into the shoe that they wear, it's not a question of yes or no. It's just a matter how much compensation that they will have. Do you have any idea at all?
Well, look, I acknowledge people's concerns. That's something that we'll look at down the road. But for right now, the good news is there is no pollution on the shorelines. There is no loss of marine life. We're making sure that we've got teams that are monitoring that completely. We've had wildlife experts up from Massey University. We've had Maritime New Zealand. We've got the Navy there. But look, I acknowledge those concerns. That's something that we will look at down the road. But for right now, I want 100% focus on making sure that those big diesel tanks do not leak, and we've got to extract that diesel, which will be quite challenging given where the boat is, and we've got to work that through in the next month or so.
Any latest report from Commodore Andrew in Samoa, the defence, when that oil can be removed from the ship?
Yeah, so he's our number 2 in the Navy, and he's obviously leading our efforts working with the Samoan government. What happens now is, because we've removed the debris, because we've removed the containers, we've contained the minor venting leak. Now he's got to work with insurers, and there are people globally who are the experts who have specialised equipment to, I imagine, cut into the ship to be able to extract that diesel out of those main fuel tanks. I'll feel a lot more relieved. I think everybody will when we know that fuel is gone. At the moment, it's secure and it's in container and it hasn't broken through at all. But our view is now to move through as quickly as we can. But that's about the insurer and the Navy being able to access that equipment, get it to Samoa, and actually then make the job done to extract that fuel out.
Thank you, Prime Minister. My co-host has got a question for you, please, Prime Minister.
Tēnā koe, Prime Minister. Well, we understand the Restoring Samoan Citizenship Bill is scheduled for its second reading in Parliament tomorrow. Could you share your thoughts on the significance of this next step?
Yes, that's a piece of legislation obviously designed. There's been a lot of discussion about that in the New Zealand Parliament. The National Party, my party, will now support that bill at what's called the second reading in Parliament. And it has been through the select committee process where all the political parties and parliamentarians discuss it. And essentially we've got to a place where, the cohort of 3,500 people, there's a pathway made for citizenship for them exclusively and only. And that's important because that were the concerns in New Zealand, and I suspect in Samoa as well, was that it was going to be a wide-ranging, it would have impact on lots of people, but the eligibility is just back to that cohort of 3,500 people, and that's important.
Okay. Well, the Right Honourable Prime Minister Christopher Luxon, once again, Whawhitai Tele Lava, thank you so much for your time. Well, have a safe trip to Samoa tomorrow.
I'm really looking forward to it. What a great place to be heading to. So we're very, very fortunate, very, very lucky. So again, can I say thank you so much for having me on your show today. I really appreciate it.
Whawhitai Lava, thank you. Thank you so much. Le whianga le palamia, o le Malu New Zealand, the Right Honourable Christopher Luxon, Malintananga, Rene Taeao, Foli to my radio Samoa Svalima, even Tolu Amo,